everyone, and welcome back to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we watch The Muppets Take Manhattan 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Ryan Roe.
I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And we are very happy to have last week's guest back with us, a guest that I am especially fond of. Guest, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Staci Rosen.
Thanks for joining us again.
My pleasure.
And today we're talking about minutes 5 and 6 of The Muppets Take Manhattan, in which the gang decides to take their show to Broadway. So I want to talk a little bit about the audience before we move on. So we talked about the Muppet performer cameos last week, but the other interesting thing about this audience is that the people at Muppet Wiki discovered a while back that several shots from this movie have been licensed out for use in other productions. So if you can afford it, you can pay Getty Images or whoever it is to use clips from this movie in your movie or your TV show. And the cheering crowd from this college crowd is one of those clips, which has been used in a few different things, including the show At Home with Amy Sedaris. They've used it as just like a cheering crowd stock video clip.
Were they specifically looking for a cheering crowd where people were dressed in 80s fashion?
I don't know. I feel like it fits well with something like Amy Sedaris' show, where it's... I don't know if you could... You couldn't do a movie that's set now and use this clip and pass it off, because it does kind of look old.
Well, it's really funny to me because on that Amy Sedaris show, and it was in a SpongeBob episode too.
Yes, they used the same clip
as a cheering crowd. It has the exact same effect as on Monty Python. We would see this crowd of a black and white film of older women
right,
clapping politely, and that was 30 years old or whatever at that time in 1970. And it feels exactly the same, this is out of date, and that's the joke,
That's why.
Yeah,
it feels sense.
Old and retro and kitschy.
I really hope in one of those productions you can make out characters saying, mouthing Kermit.
Right, so we all looked at the Getty Images page with these clips, and they all have descriptions of what they are. It's a wide angle of a crowd cheering and applauding. But then, one of them you can actually read their lips, and they are chanting Kermit, Kermit. Yeah.
Well, and one of them has the tail end of the guy who yells, "Hey, Kermit, next time we'll see you on Broadway." You can see the "Hey" in Broadway or something.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Can we talk about that line?
Well, yeah. Well, so let's let me make sure there's nothing else. Oh, actually, yeah. So that's the next thing I have in my notes. So the guy in the audience yells out, "Kermit, next time we'll see you on Broadway."
Why does he pronounce it that way?
Well, he lives at Danhurst College, and that's the local vernacular. That's the regional pronunciation.
Is that how they say it in Poughkeepsie?
In Poughkeepsie, they say Broadway. Yeah.
But that's not how any of our Muppet Danhurst graduates pronounce it in this scene.
But
because
they're not
locals.
Poughkeepsie natives.
Right. They came to Danhurst from other towns.
By the way, this guy, I've always wondered, why is he balding? Why did they cast? Is he a college student? Because he looks like he's 32 years old.
We
talked about the people.
It's a very diverse.
There's a lot of
crowd.
older.
That's true. That's true.
And I figure some of them are students, some of them are professors, maybe some of them are parents. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
If I had been in a production in college in my home state, my parents would.
Right, and if it's graduation week, they probably staged the big show, so people's parents would be in town.
Yeah, maybe this guy is Scooter's dad, and that's why he's so excited.
That's
about
Scooter's
it.
dad. Yeah,
I could.
That's
Totally
JP Gross's
that.
brother.
Yeah.
But
Trevor Gross, yeah.
But I always say Broadway, as does everyone I know.
I think everyone says it that way.
Every once in a while, I'll hear someone say...
This isn't
Every once in a while, I hear someone say Broadway. I think Matthew Broderick says it that way in The Producers.
Really?
Yeah, and it always sounds like a little old-fashioned to me. Like, maybe that's how they used to say it.
Now that you say it, you're right. In some of those older things, they'll say, like, on old Broadway.
Yeah, I want to be a star on Broadway.
Yeah, George M. Cohan said, I mean, James Cagney says it like that.
I mean, if you go back, actually, that's exactly what I had in my head when I said that. But if you go back far enough, Broadway used to be 2 words, right? Broadway. Probably. So I think maybe that has something to do with it, but yeah, it's funny. So then, and the first Muppet who takes this idea seriously is actually Scooter.
Scooter is so excited about this idea.
We see the Muppets backstage, and Scooter says, "That's a great idea," and
he does a Scooter fist. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the rest of them start chatting about it. They're very excited.
Well, and Kermit, it's just so funny to me that some rando yells like, "Hey, we'll see you on Broadway," and Scooter's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we'll do. Good idea, man in crowd. This is my life's ambition now."
That's
a great idea, bald guy.
Mm-hmm. What do you think everybody majored in?
Ooh.
They graduated with honors, supposedly. That's what they said in the announcement.
Some of them.
Some of them graduated with honors.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Well, Gonzo got a 2-year plumbing degree, of course. We know that.
Okay, sure.
And Piggy majored in being demure, and I don't know.
What did Camilla major in?
Great question.
Agriculture?
Philosophy.
Okay. I'll buy that. So Kermit says they're just happy to have everyone's support. He says it's not often that a frog and a bear and a pig and a chicken and a whatever even get accepted into college.
I think we're about to say the same thing, which is that, so are they the only non-humans there?
Right. They're breaking barriers. This is a very significant...
But what is Scooter?
Scooter is a human. It's his uncle is a human, J.P. Gross. We know that.
Yeah, he's humanoid.
Scooter is just an unattractive young man. You don't need to judge him.
So he has human privilege that the others don't.
But
presumably.
So it's interesting.
But Dr. Teeth and all them are humans too. Janice, Floyd.
Oh, right.
Zoot, and possibly Animal. We don't know.
Yeah, we talked about that. But, so these are, it must have, made the papers when all of these different animals became the first, the first frog gets accepted into Danhurst College, and the first pig, and the first chicken, and the first bear, and the first dog.
They should have had a flashback to Cloris Leachman saying, "This is a college admissions office, not a zoo."
Right. She was going to reject their applications, but then they just made her sneeze until she accepted them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this whole movie is like a metaphor for affirmative action and what individuals can achieve if they just have the same opportunities to go to college?
Sure.
Yes. This was the era where that was really, becoming policy.
People were talking about it.
That's true. This is the same era as the movie Soul Man, a movie with a very bad take on affirmative action.
Ooh.
Yeah, that movie should be forgotten.
Yeah, I won't explain. Look up the movie Soul Man if you want to cringe.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note right now.
All right.
Soul Man cringe.
Right. Kermit says they are proud to be graduating, some with honors, and then he's cut off by the sounds of a screaming woman whom Animal is chasing and yelling, "Woman, woman." And then Kermit says, and some with the help of daily psychological counseling. And the audience just laughs merrily and turns back to Kermit. But which is kind of disturbing because this woman is obviously in distress, being chased by Animal.
Well, I think you and I have talked about this before. That it's Animal and it's Harpo Marx, right? Who did that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And in both of those cases, it's really funny until you start to think of the women they're chasing as human beings. And then you realize, this woman is screaming in terror because she thinks she's going to get attacked. You know?
Well, and the fact that they have her screaming.
Right.
She didn't have to be screaming. Because I'm thinking of Snow White in The Muppets Go to Walt Disney World.
Yeah, who seems kind of amused. Who kind of seems
she's
like
smiling,
she's having
right?
fun.
As she's being chased. Yeah, like it's a game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in this case, it does not seem like she's having fun.
Right. Although I should say that my 5-year-old daughter thinks that's hilarious. Like, you talk about Muppets, and she'll be like, animal, woman. Like she thinks it's so funny. And a lot of times...
And how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of, like... It makes...
She gets the gag, though. She gets what they were going for, and she doesn't have the life experience to analyze it through the lens that we're looking at it
that's
right now. Because how did you feel about it, Ryan, as a child watching it?
Well, no, I just thought it was Animal being silly, and, you know, to date, I have... But I don't know. I was going to say to date, I've never chased any women around yelling woman, woman, but that, you know, that's no excuse for it being in the movie.
Right. But also about that line, do we think that Animal actually sees a counselor every day?
Daily psychological counseling. It's not doing very much good.
Right. Like, that's which if he is, then I guess that makes it like, that makes this moment better, that like Animal is actively seeking help.
Right. Or maybe like, you should have seen him before he went to counseling.
Maybe it was conditional of him staying like in the school.
Yeah.
But like, how do you imagine those therapy sessions go? Like,
I do not want to be his counselor.
No, me neither.
That's for sure.
Did you guys know what with honors meant? Because I didn't know until probably I was in college what that meant.
I probably didn't know until I saw the movie With Honors.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Is that the Brendan Fraser
Joe Pesci,
movie?
Yeah. Moira Kelly,
Yes.
Mm.
Wait, I still don't think I knew what that meant by the end of that movie either.
Well, that movie was about how Joe Pesci graduates with honors from the School of Life by being a wise homeless man.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And we should note too that only some of them graduated with honors. So I figure Kermit probably did. I don't know if Fozzie graduated with honors.
No.
Maybe Scooter did. Maybe Ralph did. But
maybe Ralph.
Yeah, probably not all.
Yeah, probably Janice.
Yeah, I could see that. So, now in the March 7th, 1983 draft of the screenplay, there was a little bit more right here. There was a human character, which would be a celebrity cameo, the dean from the school. He was going to join Kermit on stage to give a little speech, and he would make several bad jokes, which are revealed to have been written by Fozzie. And then we learned from the dean that Kermit is the president of the drama club, a member of the student governing board, and the captain of the lacrosse team.
Well, that explains how everybody knew.
That explains why everyone knows him and loves him so much. And also, I would like very much to see Kermit playing lacrosse.
Sure.
As would I.
So in this little scene, the dean shakes Kermit's hand continuously and vigorously as he's doing the speech, and Kermit's just like bouncing up and down as the dean is shaking his hand. It would have been fun to see this, but I don't think it makes sense that they cut it, because pretty much everything that is important from the dean's speech is just in Kermit's speech to the audience. So you don't need another character there.
Right.
Interesting. So in the movie we have, backstage, we see, I guess the gang has just told Kermit that they think they really should bring the show to Broadway, but he insists it's not good enough. Well, there's something missing.
Well, can we go back to one thing that you skipped over? Which
is
that when they're all excited about the idea of taking it to Broadway, Fozzie says New York would be dying for a great musical like this. Or Broadway would be dying to get a great musical like this, I think is what he says. So this is 1984. This is the same year that famously Sunday in the Park with George lost almost everything at the Tonys to La Cage aux Folles. Mm. And Jerry Herman famously slammed Sondheim in his acceptance speech, right? He won Best Score, and he said, "There's been a rumor around for a couple of years that the simple, hummable show tune was no longer welcome on Broadway. Well, it's alive and well at the Palace." is what Jerry Herman said in his acceptance speech.
Ooh.
And so I guess Fozzie's on team Jerry Herman, right? Like, this is basically Fozzie being like, I'm not finishing the hat. I already have a hat, right?
Yes.
So,
and you can't argue with Fozzie.
No, because he's right. Broadway is dying to get a great musical like this.
Yeah, and this is obviously a very simple crowd pleaser.
Yeah,
so yeah.
It is
Fozzie's
very much in the zeitgeist of what was actually going on Broadway at the time. The Jerry Herman versus Stephen Sondheim bloody war of 1984.
The battle, yeah. But Kermit thinks that there's still something missing from the show. This is when Piggy reminds him that they said they can't get married until they have enough money, and they would have enough money if they had a hit on Broadway. This is a different dynamic, a Kermit and Piggy dynamic than we saw in the first two movies.
They're engaged, right?
Right. In both of those, we had scenes where they were meeting each other for the first time and falling in love. In this, they're already engaged at the beginning of the movie. I think probably the filmmakers figured the audience didn't need to see Kermit and Piggy meet and fall in love again, and the Muppet fans are just kind of ready for Kermit and Piggy to move their relationship forward.
Yeah. Well, and
so that's where we are.
And
here.
I kind of feel like this movie is the reason why people think Kermit and Fozzie. This movie is the reason why people think Kermit and Piggy are in a committed relationship.
Yeah, because this is where it starts.
Right.
Yeah,
they dated in the other two, but if they are broken up in the 2011 movie or the 2015 TV show, this is what they are broken up from, right? In the public consciousness.
Sure.
Yeah, right. That's what it feels like. Yeah, and definitely the movies, as we've said before, the movies made more of a point of making them a couple at all compared to the Muppet Show.
And if you notice his reaction to getting married, he just sort of nods like, "Oh yeah, maybe you're right." It's not that usual sort of gulp that you see in other productions, and also I think at points in this movie, but I can't remember fully, so I have to watch again. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be her coming up with this idea on her own. They do seem legitimately betrothed, if you will.
He's good with it, yeah. There are a couple other lines here in that March 7th draft. Dr. Teeth says he's in favor of taking the show to Broadway because you never know, it just might become profitable and I could acquire a diversified portfolio. And Janice says that at intermission, they could serve really nutritional protein drinks.
I like that.
Yeah, that would have been fun. They could have kept that. So they're talking about Broadway. Gonzo says, Broadway of what city? Which everyone is kind of exasperated.
Which feels
question.
like a worse version of going to Bombay, India to become a movie star, though. It's a little bit like, hey, remember this thing from that other movie? Gonzo thinks the obvious thing isn't what to do. I don't know.
Yeah, and I buy Gonzo as being just oblivious enough to need to ask that question. But just for fun, I looked up in the 10 largest U.S. cities by population, but now, I didn't look up a 1984 list, to see how many of them have a Broadway. Of course, New York has a Broadway, and in fact, there are Broadways in all 5 boroughs.
I knew that.
New York has 5 Broadways. I used to live near the one, this is a side note, I used to live near the one in Brooklyn, and there was a subway stop where one of the mosaic signs on the wall of the subway was misspelled as Broadway.
Oh, is that right?
So that's fun.
Nice.
Yes. And all of the other top 10 largest U.S. cities have either a Broadway, a North or South Broadway, a Broadway Avenue, or a Broadway Street, except Philadelphia.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah, assuming Gonzo doesn't know, maybe he doesn't have his finger on the pulse of theater. It's not an unreasonable question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I live in St. Paul, as you both know, and listeners might know. St. Paul and Minneapolis both have Broadway avenues. I just kind of assume everyone does.
Maybe they're taking their show to Broadway in Phoenix.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? So, then they realize, Kermit is sort of like, oh, but what about our future plans? And I think Scooter says, this could be our future.
Scooter had nothing to do after college. He's so excited about this idea
That's why he's so gung-ho
because he just
about
had
it.
nothing else going on. Like, that's my theory.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Fozzie says if they don't try, they're going to just have to say goodbye to each other. So they're going to Broadway.
Wait, why are those the only two options? They either produce their show on Broadway or they all have to separate, even though they were somehow all able to go to college together. I would like this.
Yeah, like why can't they all like share a few apartments down the street or something?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good question.
What you say that they're going to Broadway, but what convinces Kermit, I think, is Animal screaming Broadway a bunch of times. Because like that, if
he does make
it feels
a good
like that's
point.
what tips him over the edge.
Yeah, it's like, all right, stop yelling at me. We'll go to Broadway. And then right before this clip ends, we just catch a very brief glimpse of the city skyline.
Oh, do we though, Ryan? Do we?
It sure looks like the skyline of Manhattan. I mean,
I determined that it's facing south from, the northern part of Manhattan, but there are no twin towers in the picture, which means this was taken sometime before 1973, that image that we're seeing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. You found a similar photo of the skyline.
Yeah, and actually in my in the school that I was working out of, sitting right behind where I sat was a poster of almost the exact same vantage point. And yeah, it's definitely facing south. So on the right you see New Jersey, and on the left you see Brooklyn.
There you go. Huh. And that's where the Muppets are headed.
Yeah.
So that's everything I have. I will ask if you guys have any final thoughts. Staci, starting with you.
No, I think that's it for me.
I
think we covered it.
Okay, Anthony?
Yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have saved my Jerry Herman thing until now, but I didn't. So I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add is you were saying, Ryan, that you used to live by the Broadway in Brooklyn. You also got married right next to the Broadway in Queens.
Oh, yeah, in Flushing.
Yep.
That's true. So I have several connections to several Broadways.
You and Fran Drescher both, from the sound of things.
Yes, in Flushing,
Yes.
Queens. So, with that, we will wrap things up for this week. Everyone, make sure you check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and all of those things. You can also send us an email at movingrightalong@toughpigs.com. You can find me on Twitter at Ryan Roe. Staci, where can people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter as Staci Said What, and that is Staci spelled with an I at the end. However, I am mostly off Twitter these days because the world is a horrible place.
The world is a horrible place, but good thing this is not a horrible movie. This is a delightful movie. And listeners, please, if you don't mind giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or wherever, and tell all your friends about the show. And join us again next week for another episode of Moving Right Along.
Broadway!
Broadway!